welcome to Inside number 23, my channel which is all about knitting and sewing and generally living the craftiest life possible. My name is Katie. You can find me everywhere on social media as Miss Ravelry, although I'm most active on Instagram, and I am coming to you as always from Hertfordshire, which is just north of London in the UK, where I live with my gorgeous pug puppy Rolly and my equally gorgeous husband Emrys. And yes, welcome to my little crafty corner of the interwebs here. It's super sunny outside and I'm a little bit distracted by it because the last couple of days it's been really miserable, and the sun is kind of shining through my window right now, so it's a little distracting, but I'm going to try and focus. I just want to say a big, huge welcome, hello and welcome to everybody watching. Big hellos to anyone who's new here. I've noticed some new subscribers, so hi if this is kind of your first visit with me. And always to my long-term viewers, I love you all and thank you for coming to spend a little bit of time with me again this week. It's been a bit of a crazy week here. A lot of stuff's happened. I haven't just been sitting in my house knitting, which although that is pretty much my favourite pastime, it's been nice to get out and about, and it definitely feels that as the sun is coming out, as spring is really starting to hit, it's just making me a little bit more social, which is always a good thing. I want to start off this week straight away with a bit of an apology regarding Ravelry over the last week. What I like to do is put my show notes for this podcast on Ravelry. We also have, let me talk about that, a Ravelry group for this podcast, which you can find just by searching Inside number 23 on the groups tab on Ravelry. And what I tend to do is once I have edited my podcast and I'm in the process of uploading, is I have all of my notes that I write as I edit and I upload those to Ravelry, and I like to magic link all of the projects that I've been kind of adding systematically over the last couple of weeks. So I've been making a really big effort to put all of my projects on Ravelry because I know that a lot of you guys find that helpful. So consider my shock and horror that every single time this week where I tried to upload my project notes with magic links, so my podcast notes with magic links to my projects, I was faced with, oh, oops, sorry, can't do this, unable to post. And this happened every single day this week when I tried to upload. I tried it multiple times. I tried not copying the document, so I wasn't using the same document. I tried it on multiple computers, same kind of problem. I don't know whether or not magic links for projects are just having issues on Ravelry, because I was able to link users and other things, but it basically meant that I hadn't uploaded those project notes until this morning, when I finally gave up and just put in regular links to my project pages, which is irritating because it's another thing that I have to do on top of writing all of the notes and all of the project notes and everything. Basically, it was really frustrating, and I just in general have been struggling with Ravelry recently. It's another reason why my April finished object thread didn't get uploaded. It's just been feeling very like it doesn't like me very much, particularly over the last week. I'm going to see how I get on this week and whether or not things resolve themselves, but to be honest, I am at a point now where I'm getting so frustrated with Ravelry as a kind of thing. It has some very, very good uses. I'm not saying that everything is irritating me. I still use it to find patterns and store my patterns. I like having my projects on there. But in terms of using it as a forum for my show notes and that type of thing, I want something that I have more control over, and I just don't have that on Ravelry at the moment. So I'm going to see, like I said, how I get on this week, whether or not I'll be able to kind of link things in the way that I want and share things in the way that I want. If I have another week like the week just gone, there may be some changes afoot. So apologies if you haven't had any show notes, and apologies for my finished objects threads going up late. It is not for want of trying, but yeah, I know you guys will forgive me, but that's just what's happening. That's just to give you an idea of some of the weirdness that's gone on over the last week. Talking about cows, obviously I said that I didn't actually manage to post the April FO thread for the Harry Potter cow. This is a year-long knit-along that I'm currently hosting on this podcast, knitting and crocheting and everything to do with Harry Potter. and I draw a winner at the end of each month. And there is an April FO thread, so thank you very much to the kind individual who posted that. I can see that I've already got about 111 entries in that, so please get your entries in. I wanted to share with you the prize that you guys stand the chance of winning for April, so let me just grab that. I am really excited to be able to share this prize with you. I've had it for a little while. It was actually given to me at Vogue Knitting Live in January by my lovely, lovely, beautiful friend Gabby, of the Once Upon a Corgi podcast and Once Upon a Corgi Handmade, her yarn dyeing company, and it is this gorgeous skein of yarn. Now this yarn is called You Have Your Mother's Eyes, and it's on her Tesla base, which is a 70% superwash BFL, 20% silk and 10% cashmere, and it is glorious. I absolutely love this colour. This green, I just adore it. I think it's wonderful. So this skein of yarn could be yours. Along with that, I decided to also include a little selection of stitch markers, and these were sent to me by the Gamer Widows. And if you can see, they are Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone inspired. So there's owls, there's a letter, a broomstick, a little train in there. They are so cute. So these two together are our April prize for the Harry Potter Cal. So get those entries in, and as always, I will draw a winner at the end of the month. I have one more thing to talk about kind of administrative wise before we get on to all of the knitting and everything that I've been doing this week. And that is in contrast to the kind of frustrating, maddening situation that Ravelry created this week, I have a really, really lovely piece of news. Last week, you may have remembered that I shared my completed Colourfield shawl, which I gifted to my mum. She loved it. I loved making it. Absolutely stunning pattern, the Colourfield shawl by Kemper Ray. Now this week, Kemper actually got in touch with me and said that she would like to very generously give some of my viewers the chance to win a copy of the Colourfield shawl. In particular, I think that she's adapting it to have a heavier weight version available on the shawl, which is really exciting because now I'm going to have to make so many more versions of the shawl. I absolutely adore it. But basically, some of you lucky guys are going to stand the chance of winning your own copy of the Colourfield shawl. So I'm going to be opening a giveaway thread on Ravelry, if Ravelry behaves itself this week. And in terms of the prompt, what I would like you to answer, I'm totally pinching this from one of my lovely friends, Jacqueline of the Brooklyn Knit Folk podcast. Hi Jacqueline. Whenever she does a giveaway, she asks for three lovely things that have happened to you within the last 24 hours. So 3 things that have made you happy in the past 24 hours. So I'm totally pinching that from her, but I hope that she won't mind. I hope you don't mind, Jacqueline, because watching your podcast is one of the things that's made me happy within the last 24 hours. But yes, I'm going to be opening up that giveaway thread. Head over there, let me know 3 things that have made you happy in the last 24 hours, and I will draw a few winners for Kemper's beautiful Colourfield shawl next week. And yeah, in terms of Kemper and Jacqueline, they are both incredibly talented individuals. If you haven't checked out their podcast, so like I said, Jacqueline's is the Brooklyn Knit Folk podcast, and Kemper is obviously the host of the Junk Yarn podcast and Junk Yarn, the yarn dyeing company as well. Check them both out and send them some love because they are incredibly beautiful, lovely people. So yay! I lied. I actually have one more thing to talk about before we talk about knitting. Sorry! It's just a little thank you to everybody who's actually been using my new email address that I talked about last week. I have created an email for the podcast. It is katie@insidenumber23.com, and this is going to be my main channel of communication from now onwards. If possible, please do not send me personal messages on Ravelry or Instagram. I'm pretty much not answering any messages on those platforms. I will be answering the backlog that I have. I do have a lot of messages that I haven't replied to, particularly on Ravelry. I will be going through those. But in general, from now onwards, if you have any inquiries or you want to get in touch with me about anything regarding the podcast, please, please, please use the email address, as that is going to be the thing I'm checking on a regular basis every few days or so, just so it gives me an easier way to kind of keep on top of all of my messages. So thank you to everyone who's used it so far, and to everybody else, that's the best way to get hold of me. So like I said, it's katie@insidenumber23.com. And that really is the end of the administrative stuff now. So let's move on to some more interesting content. I'm going to start off this week, as I always do, with what am I wearing? And the kind of beady-eyed amongst you are going to know what I'm wearing. You're going to recognise this. I've shared it with you before on the podcast, but this is, of course, my Coco dress. This is a pattern by Tilly, of Tilly and the Buttons, and I just love this dress. I live in this dress. I really, really need to make some more. I have this fabric in a green and orange stripe that I think I'm going to run up another dress hopefully within the next couple of weeks, but I really need to get my hands on some more heavier weight knit fabrics to make a couple more. This fabric I purchased at Mood in New York, so that obviously makes it even more special. But this pattern, genuinely, if you have never used knit fabric before, it is so dreamy. I love Tilly and the Buttons patterns, as you'll know if you've watched my podcast before. They are incredibly clear and to the point. They have illustrations and photos throughout to show you exactly what you need to do, and you do not need anything other than a regular sewing machine in order to make this dress. A lot of people have messaged me regarding the Coco dress and I've asked, do I need a serger? Because a lot of people don't have a serger. I did not use a serger on this dress. I literally just finished it with a zigzag stitch on my regular sewing machine. And the lovely thing about jersey fabric is that it doesn't fray. So you don't have to finish your seams any more than that. Just a zigzag stitch is absolutely fine. It's also a quite loose fitting garment. It has quite a bit of positive ease in it, so fitting is not necessarily going to be a problem either. So I would really, really recommend it as a kind of beginner's knit fabric dress if you haven't ever made one before. Plus, I love wearing it. It's so comfortable, yet it looks really quite chic and pretty. So I feel like I'm kind of lounging about in super comfy pajamas, but I still look nice doing it. So that's always a benefit. So yes, one of my all-time favourite things to wear at the moment is my Coco dress. Okay, enough of what I'm wearing. Let's move on to what's on my needles. And this was a bit of a funny week this week, because before I sat down to record, when I was writing up my show notes, I was convinced that I'd hardly done anything over this past week. I was feeling a little bit glum about it, a little bit down on myself. And then I actually sat down and started writing my notes, and I've done quite a lot over the last week. I'm pretty proud. I don't have any finished objects to share with you. Again, last week was finished object heavy, so I don't feel bad about that. But I have made some serious progress on quite a few projects, and I'm really excited to be able to share them with you. I'm going to start off this week with socks. Yes, someone's got their sock mojo back, which is good, because last week I had 3 pairs of socks on the needles, 2 of which I hadn't touched for weeks. So I'm very excited to kind of be dabbling into socks again. But the first ones that I'm going to share with you are my Sock to Who socks. These are socks that I'm knitting for Emrys out of the Valkyrie Fibres Allons-y colourway, which was a colourway that was dyed specifically for the Valentine's Day Doctor Who set collaboration, which I shared with you a little while ago. The yarn is self-striping. I had finished the kind of the first tube sock when I was last sharing these with you. I mean, how amazing are those colours? This is based on the 10th Doctor, i.e. David Tennant's Doctor, and these colours are perfect. So I'd finished the first one. This week, I finished the second one. So yay, I have 2 tubey socks. As you can see, they are not finished. I'm going to be doing an afterthought heel with these, a true afterthought heel, insofar as I'm going to be cutting my knitting. And it's a little bit intimidating because this is the first time that I've ever done a true afterthought heel. But I'm just really happy to have all of the actual body of the sock done, because I've been knitting 2 at a time socks for the longest time now, and I really enjoy that. And I was getting serious second sock syndrome with these, knitting them individually. It was a problem. So I'm very happy that the main body is all done. I have a little bit of a gobstopper left from the original massive gobstopper that I had. I just love it. It's so cute. But now I just need to re-measure Emrys's feet so I can work out exactly where I need to cut my my knitting to pop in the afterthought heel. And I also, if possible, want to make sure that I do it at a really nice point in the stripe, because I want to try and match the stripes with the yarn that I've got, if I can. It may not be possible to do it as neatly as I want to, but we'll see. This actually feels like quite a big achievement because, like I said, it's been a while since I've just sat down and knitted on a sock. I've done so many bigger projects recently, so yay. And you know, he deserves a nice pair of socks, considering everything that he does for me on a day-to-day basis, so yay. The other pair of socks, because yes, I've been working on 2 pairs of socks this week, are ones that I haven't shared with you for a little while, but I really love them. These are for me, so back to just knitting for myself, which makes me incredibly happy, don't judge. These socks, I have named them my Scorpius socks. I'm knitting them out of Kate Celine yarn in the Emerald City colourway. There we go, Kate Celine. And this is how much I have. Aren't they gorgeous? This pattern is, I believe it's pronounced Sinever. Previously I told you guys that this pattern was free on Ravelry. It's not free, it's paid for. My mistake. But it's worth it. I love this pattern. I've also got my little chocolate frog progress keeper on there that was sent to me by lovely Tracy of Thimble & Thread Make, and I think it's perfect on these socks. But these are my Scorpius socks. They are named after Scorpius from Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, who is my favourite character in Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I absolutely love these, and also 2 at a time socks. It's what it's about, guys. It's what it's about. I love this. I'm picking this up and doing 2 at a time socks after working on my striped socks individually for the longest time. Just made me so happy. And these are going really quite quickly. I know that they don't look like there's a lot going on. But they are. They're growing, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get them finished soon, because I want to clear all of my sock projects before I start any more, because I keep casting on big projects because that's where my heart truly lies at the moment, but I do still want to stay on top of my socks because I love them. But yes, my Scorpius socks, they are back in rotation in terms of projects to be worked on, which is great. I had 2 more works in progress to share with you, both of which are garments, because as we know, very into garment knitting right now. One of them was a new cast on from last week, so it's very new knitting. One of them has been in hibernation for a considerable amount of time, and it has finally re-emerged, which I'm very, very excited about, because this is the balance that I'm trying to do. I don't want to prevent myself from casting on new projects because it's bringing me so much happiness to cast on new things, and I have so much yarn that is begging me to be knit with that it would just feel ridiculous if I wasn't ever casting on new things. But I'm enjoying having this balance between picking up a new project and simultaneously working on an older project, because it gives me more variety, and I'm also finishing up a lot of my languishing whips, which was one of my my goals that I kind of set myself recently. So without further ado, let me first share with you the progress on my newer project. This project is my Hufflepuff Pride cardigan, which I shared with you last week. I had just kind of cast this on last week. It's using the Trolley Dodger pattern, and I'm knitting this in Knit Picks Capra yarn, which is a blend of merino and cashmere. It's a double knit weight, and this is how much progress I have made this week. Ah, so last week I had just kind of done the rib section, and now, oops, I'm just dropping stitches. Bear with. This yarn is super slippery, so it does tend to shoot all of the stitches off the needle because I'm using metal needles. Yeah, this is how much I've done. It's a really, really lovely pattern to use. The little gaps in here are going to be pockets, and I'm pretty much just doing stockinette stitch on the body now indefinitely. I just came to the end of a ball of the yarn, so that's why I stopped, but this is just absolutely gloriously mindless. I can just sit and knit on it for hours and hours. I have a little tape measure in my bag and I measure it every so often, but other than that, it's brainless and I love it. I'm particularly enjoying working with a heavier weight yarn. A lot of my projects are in fingering weight yarn, so to have something in DK weight is just really, really lovely. Plus, I love these colours. This is turmeric, the kind of mustard colour, and then just black, but it's perfect. I'm so happy with how it looks. I had a bit of a conundrum when working on this cardigan this week as well, and that is it is Harry Potter inspired. It's one of my my own projects for the Harry Potter knit along. I want to knit as many Harry Potter inspired things this year as possible. So obviously this is kind of a varsity style Harry Potter Hufflepuff inspired cardigan. And I know that one of the versions that was made by the designer has a large letter knit in Tarja, I believe, on the side. And I was trying to decide whether or not that was something that I wanted to do, kind of do a large letter on this cardigan. I could have done it in the black and I think it would have looked really nice, but what I was struggling with is I also have my Weasley sweater, which has a large K in Tarja pattern on the front, and I didn't really feel like having something so similar in a cardigan, because if I did a K for Katie or an H for Hufflepuff, it would just feel like I was doing the same thing over again. But then I realised that I had the perfect thing to put on this cardigan, and it doesn't involve any intarsia or any redesigning of the pattern or anything, and that is my Hufflepuff crest. So I actually bought this Hufflepuff crest at the platform 9 3/4 shop at King's Cross. I believe I bought this actually maybe when I was with Eric when he visited London. I can't remember for sure, but I thought that the colours in this would really clash with the mustard coloured yarn, the turmeric colour, but when I put them next to each other, I think that looks quite good. It is obviously more of a kind of bright yellow on here as opposed to mustard, but the black really goes nicely with obviously the black. Black goes with black. Oh, the black goes with the black. I'm like stating the obvious much, but I think that looks really nice. And it's just a little bit subtle, because if I have this crest on the cardigan, obviously to people who know Harry Potter, they're going to know what it is, but you have to get pretty close to kind of see what it is, and I like that. So yeah, I'm going to be sewing my little Harry Potter crest onto this cardigan. I'm really happy that I finally have a place to put it, because I was waiting to maybe get a project bag to sew it on or something like that, but having it on my cardigan is just going to make me really, really happy. So very, very thrilled with that. My last work in progress that I'm going to be sharing with you today is, like I said, been a languishing whip for the longest time, and it's living in my gorgeous pink hazel bee bag, which I'm really glad that I'm using again, just because it just makes me happy. It's like a Harlequin bee bag. Like, who wouldn't love that? But this yarn was purchased at Fibre East last year, so that kind of gives you an idea of how long this has been languishing. It's been languishing for quite some time. You may or may not remember, sorry about the crunching, you may or may not remember I purchased a gradient set from Woo Sheeps at Fibre East last year. It's a grey gradient, it's called Stormy Monday, and I decided that I wanted to work on a cardigan using this gradient. I specifically chose a pattern with an integrated collar because I wanted to make sure that the gradient flowed smoothly down the entire cardigan, as opposed to, you know, knitting the body and then having to pick up a collar afterwards, because that would interfere with the way that the colours melted into each other. See, I was into colour melts before the Find Your Fade and all this stuff. I was also incredibly tempted when the So Faded pattern came out this week to rip this back and knit a So Faded sweater using this yarn. But then I realised what I'd always wanted with it, and what I still want with this yarn, is a cardigan as opposed to a sweater. So I'll save my So Faded sweater for another day. But I picked the Risen cardigan by Melanie Berg, and this is how much I have so far. Look at it. So I had done the majority of the knitting on this previously, before it languished. I'd got to the point just before dividing for the sleeves, and I had stopped. Mostly, I think, because working with a gradient set of yarns and also having to split for sleeves would mean that I'd have to re-divide up my yarn, and that was just a whole thing that I didn't want to get into, and I had loads of other projects on the go. But since then I have done a little bit more work on it. I have now kind of popped the sleeves off. Those are on waste yarn, and I am now knitting the body of the sweater. There's not much more to the body of the sweater, to be honest. The main complexity of it was before you split for the sleeves. I'm not going to give too much away because it is a paid for pattern by the incredible Melanie Berg, whom I absolutely adore as a designer. I knit her void shawl previously. You may or may not remember we did the void along for that, and her patterns are just really, really lovely to work from. They're very, very clear. They're divided up in a very formulaic way, so it's very easy to kind of work out where you are. So even though I had not knit on this for months and months, it was very easy for me to pick it up without having made any notes or anything like that, and realise exactly where I was in the pattern because of the way that her pattern is set out. So really recommend that. And yeah, I've been doing a little bit of work on this. Literally all I did was, because it was on waste yarn, I'd even taken the needles out of it. That is kind of how languishing it was. I put it back onto the needles, sorted out my stitches, recounted everything, and then obviously did a couple of rows that were involved in getting the sleeves off, so you're just working on the body. And I don't see why this should take me too long to finish now. When we talk about the fact that I finished my pavement sweater in, 2 weeks, I don't see any reason why this should take me too long. I remember knitting on it and feeling like it was taking forever. And that doesn't make sense to me now, considering how quickly I managed to get the pavement sweater off the needle. So we'll see. I think a lot of this, the problem that I had with it was just a mental block in terms of working with a gradient, which isn't something that I've done before, and I was overcomplicating things. And now I'm just at a point where I'm kind of just like, screw it. I'm just gonna knit on it and see what happens. And I am really enjoying it. This yarn is 100% BFL, and BFL is one of my favorites. I love it, and I think it's amazing for garments because it has a little bit more grip to it, a little bit more kind of body to it, shall we say, than just merino, which for a day-to-day garment is just brilliant. And I love the texture of this collar. If you can see that. That's the collar section. Look at that beautiful texture. It's such a joy to knit, and it's a lot simpler than you'd think from looking at it. It looks like it would be quite involved, but it's really, really not. It's just taken me literally just about 15 minutes to get back to grips with the pattern. Like I said, very well written, and I'm looking forward to getting it off the needle so that I can wear it. I do think that it's something that is going to be a staple in my wardrobe, and I thought that I would hate knitting with the grey. I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it at all. And I have lots of other colours kind of in the gradient to come, which is exciting. So yeah, my Stormy Mondays cardigan back out of hibernation, being worked on again, and my goodness, it feels really good to be kind of making a dent in a project that hasn't seen the light of day for the longest time. That's everything that I've been knitting on this week, but I did get a really, really lovely parcel in the post this week. It's very exciting. So the next segment is Owl Post! The magical owls have come and they have brought me some things. The lovely, lovely, lovely Julie of Sweet Sparrow Yarns sent me a parcel this week, and something in this parcel I was expecting, which is the most recent installation of her Lord of the Rings yarn club that's Hobbit themed. Basically, I think Julie is going to do a couple of different Lord of the Rings inspired yarn clubs, inspired by the different races in Lord of the Rings. And I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but my heart is always, and always will be, with the Hobbits. I feel like I am a bit of a Hobbit. I wish I had a Hobbit hole. Hashtag goals, get a Hobbit hole. That'd be amazing, filled with yarn and pugs. But yes, there was no question. I was always going to buy a subscription to the Hobbit Yarn Club, which Julie did. And if you don't know anything about Julie, where have you been? I love her and I've been raving about her for the longest time, but her yarn dyeing company is the Sweet Sparrow Yarns. She also has a podcast which has restarted. I'm so excited about this, Julie, that you are podcasting again. She's just amazing, and she's the type of person that you want to spend time with on a regular basis. So I'm so happy that she is now in a position where she can podcast on a regular basis. She's recently gone full-time with dyeing, so show her support, because if you go and see what's in her shop, you will want to buy everything. Genuinely, you want to buy everything. But I'm going to show you the most recent installment of her yarn club. So guys, if you have subscribed to the Lord of the Rings Hobbits Yarn Club from Sweet Sparrow Yarns, this is a warning. Please look away if you don't want to be spoilt. So, warning now! Nice little subtle warning for you there. Without further ado, the most recent installment of this yarn club, it's called Fool of a Toque, which I love. And this is the yarn. Oh my gosh, look at this. Oh, is this not just everything you've ever wanted and more in yarn? Oh my goodness. And here is Julie's label, which is beautiful. I love her labels. They make me so happy. This is on her Nuthatch base. It's a 75-25 merino nylon blend, and I'm obsessed. I'm utterly obsessed with this. This is perfect for Pippin, Peregrine Toque. I just love it so much. I have to give it a little squeeze, but this beautiful kind of turquoisey blue with this gorgeous kind of biscuity brown, all of these brown speckles, and then a little bit of natural in there as well. I love this. When this arrived in the post, Emrys also thought that it was amazing, and I think he wants to lay claim to it and have a pair of socks in it or something, but this is mine. This is mine. I love it so much. I want to sleep with it under my pillow because I think it will give me lovely dreams, but I love it. I need to find a special project for it, but for now it's just going to live in the stash, being happy with my first installment as well. But oh, it's so beautiful. Such a clever dyer, so clever, and oh my goodness. But as if that weren't enough, Julie, because she is the most wonderful and kind-hearted individual in the entire world, also included some extra skeins of yarn. She included 2 skeins of a colourway which I have actually been admiring on her website for quite a long time, which is funny because she's a mind reader. And she's given me the decision as to whether or not I keep both of these for myself or I give one to you guys. And I'm not going to lie, at this point, I am strongly considering keeping both of them. And I'll tell you why in a second, but let me show you exactly what the yarn is. Can we just talk about how beautiful this is? Oh my goodness. Okay. It's difficult to show it up on the camera exactly how amazing this is because it's really delicate and subtle, and in general, my recording equipment is not designed to pick up something delicate and subtle, but let me do my best to kind of explain this to you. It's got all of these beautiful pale pinks, dusky pinks, and a little bit of natural in there. But also, when I first looked at it, part of me thought that it was a Stellina-based yarn. It's not. It's on her Gosling base, which is an 80-10-10 merino cashmere nylon. My favourite. But it also has these little sparkles of kind of glitter speckling, and for the life of me, I don't know how Julie did it. I'm not going to ask her because, you know, trade secrets, and her magic is for her to know alone, but there are all these tiny little dustings of gorgeous pink sparkle in the yarn, just on the yarn, like dyed as a part of it, and I love it. The colourway is called Queenie, and it is inspired by Queenie from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, who I loved in that movie. I mean, you know, I'm obsessed with that movie anyway, but this yarn, it's glorious. And the reason that I am considering keeping both skeins of this yarn is because Since I knitted the Pavement Sweater by Vera Valimaki, I have been dying to cast on a breathing space sweater. I just love that sweater. I saw so many people wearing it at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and since working on a Vera Valimaki pattern, I want to knit another one. And I do want to knit another pavement sweater, but I think it'd be nice to do something a bit different. And I just think that this yarn would be stunning as the contrast stripe colour in that sweater. I mean, how precious would that be? And I do need 2 skeins of yarn in order to do that contrast stripe, and then maybe a little bit left over to do something else with. So I'm not saying 100% that I'm going to keep this forever, but that is where I'm leaning to, because the second that a skein of Sweet Sparrow yarns comes into my house, I never want to let it go, because they are just, I mean, they're just too beautiful, and they need to live with me forever and come with me and be my friends. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you, Julie, so much. I mean, obviously I was expecting this and I love it, but to get these as well, so much happy, and you are, as always, the most talented, amazing, incredible dyer. Go and check her out, show her some love, buy all of her things, unless I beat you to them and buy them all first. But yes, absolutely love Julie and everything she does, and I'm going to stop kind of going on and on now. I have one more crafty kind of section to talk about before we head into the last section of the podcast, and I'm happy this week to say that we have a So What segment. I headed back to my sewing machine this week, and I'm not going to lie, it was a really, really lovely experience. It's been a couple of weeks since I've had time to really devote to sewing. I find sewing a little bit more difficult to make time for, because knitting, I can just pick up my knitting and kind of start from where I left off. It's a very kind of organic process, and it doesn't feel like there has to be any pre-planning involved. I can just get on with it. Sewing, however, requires a little bit more specific time put aside for it, and once you're kind of into a project, it's quite easy to kind of go and spend a few minutes and then come away. But I hadn't got anything new that I had started, so I decided that I wanted to use some of the beautiful fabric that I purchased when I was in New York. As I said, I purchased this gorgeous Pontoroma jersey in New York at Mood, but during our visit I also visited the Brooklyn General store, and I picked up a couple of beautiful prints. They are by Cotton and Steel. I couldn't remember the name then, but one of them specifically was by Rifle Paper Company, and this fabric isn't particularly easily available in the UK. You can get it, but it's expensive, you know, it's imported. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I picked some of that up whilst I was visiting New York. And the reason that I have started this project is that I'm going to be, in a couple of weeks, going to the christening of my cousin's little girl, and I wanted just a nice outfit to wear, because I just thought it would be a nice occasion to make something new. And why not? So I decided to make a separate outfit, a top and a skirt. I haven't started the skirt yet, but I have started the top. And can you guess what pattern I used? It's a top, but you can probably guess what pattern I used. I used the Robe Bluet pattern by Deer and Doe. In case you're new to the podcast, I'm laughing because this is a pattern that I have used now for 3 different dresses. But on the pattern itself, it says variations, and it also has a picture of the dress done as a blouse. Now, reading through the pattern doesn't give you any specifics as to how to actually create a blouse out of this dress, but I've just done a quick pattern hack. I've shortened it and I've turned it into a blouse. And this is how much I have so far. Ta-da! This is the beautiful fabric, which is by the Rifle Paper Co. by for Cotton and Steel rather, and as you can see, it's a blouse length, so it's short. I've done the main construction of the body. Let me just do a little close-up of this fabric. Again, subtlety is not great on this camera, but it's a kind of peachy cream colour in the background, and then it has all these little pops of corals and navy blue and gold, and I love it. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I'm really excited to have a little puffed sleeved blouse in this. So I have to obviously do the sleeves and sew up the collar and then attach those on, then do the button bands and hem it and pop the buttons on and do the buttonholes. And that sounds like quite a lot, but it actually isn't. When you kind of sit down and get on with it, it won't take too long. If I dedicate a couple of days to this, and when I say a couple of days, I mean that I'll be working and doing it in the evening or doing it in the morning, should be finished by next week. I would hope that I have this as a finished object, but yeah, I just love this fabric. It makes me so happy, and I think as a little blouse, it's just so cute. Really, really cute. I can't wait to wear this. It's not the first time that I've used cotton and steel fabric, but it's the first time that I've used their Rifle Paper Company collaboration. And this is just 100% cotton, so it's kind of the quilting fabric weight. But this is so much higher quality than regular quilting cotton. I really, really love it. And it does crease a little bit because 100% cotton tends to do that, but not as much as a lot of cottons do. And plus, because it's a blouse, I'm not going to be sitting on it, I'm not going to be creasing it, so I'm really, really thrilled with it. I do need to get some buttons for it. Can't quite decide what colour. I might go for coral or possibly something in like a pearlescent finish, I think would be really lovely. But yeah, it's been really nice to be working on this. It's a pattern that I know very well, obviously, having knit this pattern, sewn this pattern 3 times as a dress, and now just doing it as a blouse is even quicker because there's less to sew. But that's the kind of progress that I've made on that so far. One other thing in terms of my sewing, a pattern arrived for me in the post this week, and it's for quite a special project. My brother is actually getting married this summer, and I've decided to make my dress to go to the wedding. And after a lot of searching through patterns that I currently have, I found one that I really, really loved online. It's quite different for me, but I'm really excited to work on it. It is one of Gertie's patterns, one of Gretchen Hirsch's patterns. Gertie is an incredible pattern designer. I have all of the books that she's written, so Gertie's book for better sewing, the casual vintage sewing book, and the ultimate dress making book, I believe that's what it's called, which I've talked about previously. Also, if you're a fan of Kristen of Vool and Vine Yarns and the Yarngasm podcast, she talks about them a lot as well. But what I did was I found, separate from her books and everything, one of her patterns by Butter It, kind of a collaboration that she does, is this pattern, which is quite different for me because it's a wiggle dress, so it's quite tight. And it has this little keyhole detail in the front. I think it's difficult to see from the pictures on the camera, but basically this keyhole detailing sits just underneath the bust area. So it's not kind of on the boobs or something, it's just that little kind of, I don't know what you call that bit of the body, the bit underneath the boobs, the bit where your ribs meet basically. But I thought it was really, really cute because it's quite subtle. The rest of the dress is quite modest, and then you just have this little keyhole peak. My brother is not getting married in a church, for any of you who think that it would be inappropriate to wear something like this at a church. That was taken into consideration when I picked the pattern, so no disrespect to any religious buildings or anything like that by showing a cheeky bit of under boob. But yeah, I really, really love this pattern, and now I just need to get some fabric for it. I am very tempted by some more Rifle Paper Company fabric that I've seen online. I am not sure whether or not I can afford to buy an entire dress quantity of it. Like I said, it's relatively expensive because it's imported, but I'm looking at different places to see if I can find something that would really work. But I do love working with that cotton, and I think cotton on the outside with a bit of lining on the inside would just feel really luxurious, and it would be really nice to wear. Plus it would be something that I could wear a lot after the wedding because it'd just be a nice kind of evening summery outfit. This is to come soon once I've got some fabric picked out, but it is a relatively easy pattern. It's considered to be easy. in terms of the construction. It's not very many pieces. I think the fitting would be relatively good. In case you're interested, the number is B6413. It's by Butterick, and I actually believe that a lot of these patterns are on sale at the moment on the Butterick website, so maybe check that out. But yes, this will be coming in the near future, and I'm quite excited about it. So as always, I'm going to be closing out this week's podcast with my favourite segment, or not my favourite segment, they're all my favourite segments, but one of the most enjoyable to do, which is of course General Waffle. General Waffle. And for those of you who are new, this is my little segment where I get to waffle on about anything and everything that I want to talk about, regardless of anything else. And this week, I'm going to be talking about tattoos with you. I have talked about tattoos previously on the podcast, but I did actually last week get a new tattoo, and since then I've had quite a lot of people messaging me asking specific questions about the experience and that type of thing. So I thought I would pop in a little bit of information at the end of the podcast this week for anyone who is interested. So yeah. My tattoo was done just over a week ago. Today is Sunday, and it was done last Saturday. And I drove to Nottingham specifically to get this tattoo done by an incredible artist called Vicky Morgan. I found out about Vicky on Instagram, which to be honest is where I found out about every tattoo artist that I have been tattooed by. Instagram is an incredible resource if you are looking for tattoo artists, because it is really easy to update, and people who are tattooing regularly can always show you how their style is evolving, different pieces that they are doing, and they can link back to their tattoo studios and that type of thing. One of the reasons I wanted to go to Vicky specifically is that she specialises in the type of tattoo that I wanted to get. Vicky loves doing Harry Potter inspired tattoos, Disney inspired tattoos, but recently she's been doing a lot of pet portraits, and that is the specific tattoo that I wanted. I have been planning a pet portrait tattoo for the longest time. I'd had the idea that I wanted a tattoo for my gorgeous baby boy Rolly for the longest time, and it had just taken me a while to find someone whose style I thought would really complement what I wanted, which is generally what I tend to do. I have an idea and I wait until I find the exact perfect artist for that idea, and then I go and see them. So yes, last Saturday I went and got my tattoo, which is this tattoo. It's incredibly awkward to share this with you on the podcast because it's at a slightly weird angle on my arm, but that's the tattoo that I got. I didn't want to share it last week because it is still healing, and sharing it one day after it being done, it would not be in a pretty state. The first kind of process of healing a tattoo involves wherever you've been tattooed trying to clean itself out as much as possible, because obviously having ink in under your skin is considered to be kind of like a foreign object, so your body is trying to clean out that area, so you get a lot of plasma and general kind of goop coming out of the area. I'm trying to say this in the least disgusting way possible, so I apologise if that's made anyone feel unwell, but that's generally, it's your body trying to clean itself out. Within a couple of days, as the area starts to dry, that's when you tend to get more kind of flaky skin, and that's when irritation can happen, because obviously it's kind of like scabbing. So if you've ever had any kind of injury that's got a little bit of scabbing on it, it can get quite irritated and itchy and dry. So I've been healing it over the last week, and it's now in a really good place actually. It's almost completely healed. There's some dry areas on it, but it's looking really nice and I'm happy with it. I've been putting a little bit of coconut oil on it every day, which was actually recommended by Vicky. She said that it's something that they've started using recently, and because it's 100% natural, it's really good for kind of healing tattoos. So yeah, a little bit I think about me as a tattooed person. This is the 5th tattoo that I have ever gotten. I can't remember the exact age I was when I first got tattooed. I believe I was around about 24, so I waited relatively late in life. There are a lot of people who get tattooed the second that they are of a legal age to do it, but I spent a lot more time thinking about it. Previously, I have been tattooed by all different artists. I've never been tattooed by the same artist twice. just ended up that way. My first was done by Amy Savage, that was in Essex. My second was done by Cassandra Francis in London. My third was done by Just Jen in Edinburgh. My fourth was done by Zoe Bean in New York, that was just in January. And then obviously my fifth was by Vicky Morgan in Nottingham. All of my tattoos previously have been on my legs. It was a conscious choice for me when I started getting tattooed and was still a performer that I wanted to be able to hide my tattoos more easily. So I started with my thighs. Earlier this year I moved down to my ankle, which is obviously more exposed, and then this tattoo was the first one that I ever got on my arm, which was kind of a big deal, to be honest, because it's a lot more visible than any of my other tattoos, but it's something that I've been thinking about for a really long time. It's something that I'd wanted for a very long time, and obviously it being such a special piece because it was of Rolly, I wanted to have it in a place where I could see it all the time, because all of my other tattoos, to be honest, they don't get much airtime. I don't tend to flash my thighs on a regular basis, so it's nice to have something a little bit more visual, but that's still relatively easy to hide if I want to, because it only comes up that high. So if I wear longer sleeves, no problems. A little bit on my actual experience with Vicky. To be honest, I think it was the most pleasant experience that I have ever had being tattooed. There's a lot of different things that go into making a tattoo experience enjoyable. Obviously, the process itself is relatively painful. Let's not beat about the bush. Someone putting ink into your body using needles, it's never going to be all unicorns and rainbows. It is uncomfortable. I have experienced different levels of pain with different areas of my body and different tattoos. My most uncomfortable experience was with my thigh piece. It's a very large tattoo and I had to do it over 2 different sittings, both of which were between 3 to 4 hours long. And to be honest, you just get exhausted. However, the tattoo that I did with Vicky, obviously there's slight discomfort, but as soon as I got used to that and I adjusted, it was really not that bad at all. I would say between 1 to 10, probably be sitting at a solid 4 for the entire time. The other thing that I loved is that talking to Vicky was incredibly easy. She is a lovely, lovely person. We chatted about our recent trips to Disney World, as we'd both been at the end of last year. We ended up watching the movie Moana while she tattooed me, because she had that on DVD and we're both big fans of the film, and we just chatted away about various amazing things, Harry Potter and true crime we actually had in common as well. So it was really lovely. She made me feel comfortable. It was a very special tattoo to get done, and I was really happy that I got it with someone that I had so much mutual ground with. It's very personal when someone tattoos you, because obviously it's intimate on a physical level. Someone is handling a part of your body and putting a tattoo there, but it's also intimate in the way that you will then live with that piece of art on your body for the rest of your life. And although I've never had a really negative experience getting tattooed, in the same way that sometimes when you buy yarn and you have a negative memory linked to that experience, it makes you not want to knit with it. Can you imagine how it feels to get something put on your body that will be with you forever, that has slight negative connotations with it? I'm very lucky that I don't have a single tattoo that was a really, really horrible experience. I've had a couple that were less than amazing, but in general, the whole thing was worth it in the end. And I was very happy with the artwork and happy with the experience in the kind of grand scheme of things. That's why I'm very specific with the people that I choose to tattoo me as well. I will only get a tattoo from someone if I followed their work for some time and I know that I enjoy the entire scope of their style. And also, something that I've noticed that was never a conscious choice, but now it really is I've only ever been tattooed by women. Personally, I always feel more comfortable being in that situation with a woman than I would with a man. Not that there's anything wrong with being tattooed by men, it's just something that has become apparent to me that in order for me to feel happy and me to feel comfortable, I need a female tattoo artist. So yeah. In terms of the piece itself, like I said, it's still healing. It's a little bit uncomfortable at this point. I do want to give it a good scratch because in the past I have experienced real issues with itchy skin. different points in the month due to hormones and stuff like that. Itchy skin is something that really gets to me, so that's probably the most uncomfortable part of getting tattooed for me. But other than that, and particularly I found it's not so itchy when I've been using the coconut oil, which has been really lovely. So cheap, and it smells amazing as well. But other than that, I'm so happy. I definitely will be planning another trip to Vicky again. If I get another piece by her, she'll be the first person to have ever tattooed me more than once, which is exciting. But that's what made it amazing more than anything, is that I love the piece of work that I have. I'm really happy with it. I feel that that part of my body is more complete having that artwork on there, but also that I had such an amazing experience spending time with Vicky. And so if you are in the Nottingham area, I would really recommend checking her out if you're interested in getting a beautiful piece done. In particular, if you're interested in Harry Potter, Disney or pet portraits, as those are her specialities. But she's so talented, she really could do anything that you wanted. I am considering the next time that I get a tattoo, which hopefully will not be too long. I do have plans for some more within the next 6 months or so, that I may do a small series of videos going into more detail about the tattoo experience, about healing tattoos, about finding artists and that type of thing. If that's something that you're interested in, do drop a comment down below. I always like to know whether or not it's something that you guys would enjoy before I go into a new series of things, because obviously it takes a lot of time and effort. I would really enjoy doing it, so I might just do it anyway, but it would be great to have a little bit of feedback on that. So yay, leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Other than that, that's pretty much it from my general waffle this week. A little bit rambly and waffly, but it's something that I really love to talk about. I love tattoos. They're awesome. So like I said, that is everything from me this week. I hope you have enjoyed spending a bit of time with me. If you have, please give me a thumbs up, please like the video and hit subscribe down below, because that's the best way to be kept up to date as to when I have new videos on this channel. If you do want to be notified when I have a new video on this channel, you can also hit the little bell icon down below, and that will literally send you an email the second that I upload a video, so you're never going to miss out on anything. I'm going to stop waffling on now. I could literally talk to you guys for hours, but I'm not going to do that because that's a little bit self-indulgent. But for now, from me to you, I'm sending you so much love. I hope you all have an incredible week. Happy sewing, happy knitting, and I will see you all very soon. Bye! But yes, this is how much I have done in the past week. This is, oh look. Oh my goodness, I entertain myself. Hi!